On the show today, we have a very special guest, Rohit Prasad of Amazon Alexa, the man who really understands what makes Alexa a very smart assistant. But now that's going to be my first question to you, Rohit. Firstly, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
you.
And what I really want to understand is in the battle of voice assistants, from a consumer tech standpoint, everyone looks at Siri, Google Assistant, and Alexa. Alexa seems like the smartest of the lot. But first question to you is it the smartest of the lot?
So we in Amazon focus on customers, less so on competition. The competition to just inspire us here, our customers need a lot from us and Alexa, and we are focused on that. And from that perspective, it's a privilege to have billions of requests issued to Alexa every day from hundreds of millions of devices. It's in 70 plus countries, 17 languages. Of course, as you know, it's in Hindi, which makes me very proud because my heritage is there. So I love the fact that we have so many engaged customers, and that's what we measure. Like, are we satisfying our customers' need? Of course, Alexa's AI is one of the most sophisticated systems in terms of the complexity that it has, because to what seems simple with Alexa is actually quite complicated. When you just ask it to play, tell you the weather or play a song, you assume a lot of things that is very hard for the AI to know. And we make it super simple because of its intelligence. That's what I work on every day. And we have a lot to do here in this space.
So, all right, you know, what they say is what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So we'll still say Alexa's the smartest of the lot. And honestly, yes, you know, to be honest with you, I have a bunch of Amazon Echo devices at home, and they do with Alexa as opposed to other assistants. My job is to review all of these devices, and the feedback that I can give you is that it does make your job a lot easier, your day a lot easier, and I'm one for that, when technology can actually make your lives easier. But when it comes to, you know, like the Echo Show 10, for instance, right, with Alexa, now there are some neat features out there where you can block the camera, you can mute the microphone, it's there all over your devices. But does that become something imperative to your research work as well, ensuring privacy and customer security?
Absolutely. I think privacy is paramount because it's a key part of customer trust. We think of Alexa as the trusted personal assistant, advisor, and companion. If you want to focus on trust, then you have to take customers' privacy seriously and make sure that the control of their data, how they want to use the devices, in their hands. And we need to be super transparent with how their data is being used. So from the very early days, when we were building the original Echo, we wanted to have a very transparent ring, which would be very clear when is the Echo device heard you and streaming to the cloud. Because we wanted you to be fully aware as a trusted assistant that it is letting you know, here's what I'm doing, right? So that's the mental model that has stayed with us from the very beginnings of Alexa. And just as you said, once we introduced camera-based devices, we wanted to have that shutter that you can be very confident about, and if you didn't want to use it or mute that or cover it, you can do that. So to me, and as an AI researcher as well, privacy actually is a great problem because it's forcing a lot of forays into what I call generalizable intelligence. Think about how you learn to drive. You don't drive for 10,000 miles or 10,000 kilometers if it's India. You drive for a few kilometers and you are ready to drive. Same way, when we learn something as kids, it's not like we spend hours and hours with many amount of data to understand language. Of course, we learn at a very different pace, but to me, the constraints of privacy are actually a boon for an AI researcher because you can invent a lot of new solutions on data minimization or how to make the AI more generalizable and learn like a human.
And you know, in terms of the AI sounding a lot more like a human, in India something very interesting is a localization play with the way Alexa understands Hinglish, gives you these really interesting responses like, you know, eating dal chawal every day, or Gabbar and Shah Rukh Khan, and also an Amitabh Bachchan voiceover. Are these things the Alexa team works on at the global level to understand how they can crack other markets?
Absolutely. I would say less so about in the way of we don't view it as markets per se, but more about that your personal assistant, advisor, and companion needs to have that natural voice. And because it's personal to you, you may want a lot of customization to it. So I'm a huge Amitabh fan, and I grew up with idolizing him. So his voice is just like amazing voice to have, and when we had the opportunity to work with him, that was awesome, and I have that voice, and I'm saying many of that, but there is a lot of things that we are working on, which is to make the voice be easily customizable to what you want, right? And we are doing that with a lot of markups that you can change the emphasis on the voice, or we have Santa voice, or we have the Amitabh voice, as you mentioned. But this is a huge area of research. Like today I announced a capability where we can actually generate any personal voice. Like if I would love to have my mom's voice. So that's the kind of capability we announced today as well, that we have the capability in the lab where with just 1 minute of audio, we can generate a very natural voice for anyone.
That's fascinating. I've been in the media for a while. I've done a lot of voiceover work, and that's fascinating that you can perhaps work on creating that personal voice as well. But another thing, Rohit, that when it comes to Alexa that I find fascinating is that a lot of the conversation, especially at the REMAS conference, that's the reason we're here in Vegas, has been fascinating. There's been a lot of talk of some of your partnerships with Amazon, and then how Alexa will play a part even in space projects.
Yes.
Right? Is that now, I'll tell you what, for someone watching, if they haven't been here and spoken to you guys, it might sound like a gimmick. But do you think, from a very neutral standpoint, right, that could be a game changer in terms of how these assistants are used in space projects?
So, if you think about Alexa, we want that it's part of a bigger vision of ambient intelligence. By ambient intelligence, we mean that the AI is everywhere around you. It's embedded in everything you can imagine. Some of that has already started happening. We also want it to be instantly available when you need it. Often it should anticipate your need, like Alexa should figure out I may like something to listen to, right? And or I follow cricket teams, and if I'm following India's cricket team, then I want to be updated on that, right? So we just launched this feature in the US, which is allowing me to follow any sports team, and we want to take it more broader. But it helps me follow basketball, where I live in Boston right now, and I follow the Boston Celtics. And that's an easy one where it's sort of falling to that vision. So that's critical when you're thinking about more context of where all can AI can help.
Right.
If you look at this conference, which is bringing machine learning, automation, robotics, and space together, we are in another early stages of a space industry where it is building the infrastructure. What internet was like 25, 30 years ago, that's being built now, hopefully, for space. Then you can imagine when space becomes a frontier that you can reach very easily, then you will need products like Alexa or service like Alexa in space. So it is not a gimmick. Alexa being on Project Artemis, where it's getting headed to the moon, is a very fascinating problem, and also will be useful for the astronauts in future. So we're taking the first step. Every big thing starts small, and it may seem like, who would need it? Is it really needed? But over time, this is going to happen, right? So I think that's the way we think of these problems in a very long horizon. So you have to get started. This is a start. And by the way, the constraints of space made us solve some real hard challenges which benefit what happens on Earth. For instance, imagine you have a car and it's a connected car, but connectivity can be lost, so you have to process things locally on the car for it to be having the same voice interactions or AI interactions for your convenience in the car. So the same technology is being used in the space one, right? So there's a lot of synergy here, that you have resource constraint or if there's noise. All of that helps us solve these problems, where the net result is you have solved more problems, and it will ultimately be useful in those setups too.
Rohit, we've been talking so much about Alexa devices being ubiquitous. They're always learning, listening, now even seeing and following you around in the form of Astro. Now, for the viewers and tech enthusiasts watching, we started off talking about privacy and security, but there are always concerns when people read media reports saying, Echo devices are logging all of our conversations. But how do you respond to that in terms of placating some of those concerns?
Absolutely. As you said, privacy is paramount to us. The data security is, we take everything on protecting your data and your privacy very strongly, as we should, because we want to be that trusted service. And for that perspective, I think one thing, if you look at all our decisions, we talked briefly about how when you speak the wake word Alexa, then the light ring comes on, right? When you actually start the conversation, you have to say the word Alexa.
Correct.
And it only listens when it's confident that you have heard the word Alexa on the device, then only starts streaming to the cloud. So that's one set of features. And then you can even go and look up all the data that Alexa has heard you say, and through your companion application or go to the website, all that data is available to you. But we also know that some people will be concerned. So you can opt out of data collection, or you can opt out of human review of the data. So there's more control for you, because we want you to be comfortable with this service. I have 20 plus Alexa devices in my home.
Wow.
So, and of course, I have a lot of private conversations, a lot of critical conversations. So, of course, I'm also a customer, right? So so we want the same kind of controls in your hands as you being the customer. And we are also brought in the convenience of voice to managing your data.
Right.
You can say, Alexa, delete what you heard me say today, right? So that is, those are the kind of controls we want, and hopefully our customers will continue to trust us with this.
Fascinating, technological, scientific insights from the man at Amazon Alexa. Thank you so much, Rohit, for joining us. And I hope the next time we speak, maybe my voice will be accepted if the personalized voiceovers are allowed on Alexa.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much for
joining
your
us,
time.
Rohit.
It was
Cheers.
fun. Thank you.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.